And the only way that you're able to endure those is if you have enough self-confidence, self-love, and knowledge of self that you develop a swagger. You develop something that cannot be budged by a bump in the road, something that cannot be moved by somebody else's influence, but your own and the people around you that truly care about your well-being.
What's going on, fam? It's your man, VACAY-J. And if you're new and you're loving swagger, definitely go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Absolutely like and comment below. We're going to get into episode 2 of Swagger on Apple TV. And the title of the episode is Haterade. Now, if you missed episode 1, definitely check out episode 1 of Swagger. So we see your boy Jace, and he's sleeping. And right now he's getting up early in the morning like he usually does, around 4 o'clock in the morning. And you already know what that means. He's going to be out working out every single day. His mom is going to be there encouraging him in the whole nine. He's going to be doing his runs up the hill. You know, he's definitely dedicated to making sure he becomes the #1 player in the DMV. Now, of course, his mom sees him. He gets up the hill, and she's always, you know, hitting him up and say, hey, you all right? You all right? You doing all right? In other words, like, you're all right. You need to be great. So, of course, he went ahead, hit up his push-ups. You know how it goes. So now we got your boy Ike, and he is in jail after hitting that coach. So he gets released, and he gets out, and he sees his wife. Of course, his wife comes to pick him up. And she's like, are you okay? He's like, listen, I'm sorry. You know, I just want to be a better example. And she's like, yeah, to your team. He's like, no, I just want to be a better example, you know, for our child that's about to come into this world. You know, I got to do something different. I have to take a different approach. And, you know, I'm not going to be punching people out, you know, just because I get angry with them because they're being jerks. Right. So we're seeing that there's going to be coaches and scouts for the youth game, basketball game that's coming up. Of course, Jace is talking to his best friend, Crystal. You know, she's in bed just chilling. He's like, hey, you know, let's get together. We got this game coming up. You know, he's talking about his ranks and everything. And she's like, listen, man, you know, you just need to keep playing ball because I'm still #1, right? So, you know, they like best friends, and they got their little, you know, friendly competition since way back, right? So now your boy Jace, he's so dedicated. He goes early to the gym. He sees the janitor. The janitor, you know, lets him get into the cage so he can get in basketball. And you see how dedicated Jace is, man. Like, he really wants to get his rank up. He's only 14 years old, but there's a lot of pressure to be the #1 player in the DMV. So, of course, he's gonna get his free throws on because he missed the free throw last game. And he's going to make sure that he's on point with what he's doing for the team. Now, it's supposed to be a coaches meeting about Ike and the incident that happened. Ike shows up, but he really doesn't want to go in. He doesn't want them to play God and take away his right to be a coach. So instead of going in, he goes to work. And Ike rolls up on his supervisor's manager and says, hey, you know, I really need some hours. You know, I got a baby coming in the world, and I really need some help. You know, I really need more hours so I can work. I need more overtime. And she's like, hey, listen, you know, there's none of that going on, but you got your coaching thing. That's what's getting in the way. He's like, listen, that was different. You know, now I got a baby on the way and my wife. So she's like, listen, I'm going to see what I can do. I'm going to see what I can do. No guarantees, but I'm going to see what I can do. You know, so Ike comes out and he sees Coach Meg, and Meg is like, hey, bold move not showing up for the coaches meeting. He's like, hey, I don't want y'all to play God, you know, any bad news. And she's like, nah, you wasn't suspended. You know, in fact, you know, the OG, you know, definitely had them give you another chance, a second chance. He's like, oh, okay. So, you know, if you're not the bearer of bad news, what's going on? Well, she was like, Meg is like, hey, listen, how about we merge teams? You know, I got rid of that coach. He was being a jerk and he was bad for my image. But listen, I'll pretty much handle the business side. You could definitely do the coaching side. And absolutely, we know your program needs help. So we might as well put our heads together and make it happen. So now we shoot over and we see Jace's mom. She's driving and she looks and she sees it says, you are an embarrassment to the DMV, and they're talking about her son. Of course, that gets her upset. Of course, she's going to push more. Now you got your boy Ike, and he rolls over to Jace's house just to talk to him. You know, he just fresh out of jail. And, you know, he goes to the house, sees his sister. The sister calls up Jace to come on out. And, they get to talking, and he's like, oh, you out of jail? He's like, yeah. He's like, what's going on? He said, let's chop it up. So they're talking about the team, and he's telling Jace that he definitely wants to combine the team with a competitive team, a competitor, coming together with the same team that they played. The coach that was a jerk, they got rid of him, and him, Ike and Meg is going to make it happen for the team. So he's like, it's a tryout. Definitely just show up at the tryout. So here comes the tryout. You see Meg, and she's with one of the boys' dad, and he's, pretty much shooting $1,000 over just to help out with the team. But he wants his son to play. He feels like he's making an investment. He wants his son to play. So now you see Jace and his mom show up. Of course, Ike is there, and he sees the other guy that he always had a problem with, but he goes to his team, his regular team. All right, he goes over to the their little circle. So now you see, Brett, and he's talking to Meg, and again they're talking about getting a son to play. Now, of course, Jace's mom is like, hey, do you know this girl? Like, you combining teams, like, what's going on? This has to be right, whatever it is. This can't be wrong. I don't want my son to be jumping from team to team. He's like, don't worry about it. It's going to be all good. So you see Ike and Meg, and, they're about to play. They see, the kids are practicing. They're playing. They're pretty much scrimmaging right now. They're scrimmaging just to see who's going to play, and, they're practicing and everything. And, they're seeing who's going to be good, who they want to keep, and who they want to cut, So, again, they all lined up. And, of course, they're going to call Jace first. So they call Jace as far as, making the team. And then they call, a couple of others to be on the team as well. Some familiar faces, some not familiar. But absolutely, some of the main characters are being called up. Musa is going to be called up as well. And then, they call up a whole bunch of other kids, but they don't call, the regular kids that was on the team. But they call up Royale, and they're not too happy because they don't think he could play. So now we got Phil. Phil's getting his locks, twisted and everything. And Jace comes in. He sees him, but he was trying to walk out. But the barber's like, hey, I got you. Come on in. So Jace, he starts a conversation, with Phil. They was arch rivals and everything. They say they're going to be playing, the next team, with the number one cat on it. And, Jace is really trying to be cool. And, they're like, hey, the OG's like, listen, it's a mental game. Definitely play your game. So Phil and Jace, they talking and they just kicking it. They're not beefing anymore like they usually do. And, Jace starts to ask them, hey, is your mom really locked up? And he's like, why? He's like, yo, I'm just asking, So they're really trying to create a bond. Jace is really trying to be cool with them because now they're on the same team. And, they're kind of going through the same thing, the same struggle. And they're going to be working together, So it's a cool, you see the bond happen here. And, he's asking him about his dreads, his locks, and he corrects him. He says locks. So, Phil is just really on some like, yo, you got to have your own hair store. You might as well get like a Nike swoosh in your hair. And of course, they're joking. And Jason's like, oh, a Nike swoosh? That's going to help us win the game. He's like, you sure you didn't get your locks locked too tight? And all of that. So of course, Jace is looking at the ranking and he sees the number one guy is this guy, Nick. But he is now number 4, right? So he's pretty upset about that. So he goes home right after his cut. So he goes home and he sees his sister and he sees his mom. His mom is talking about, just paying some bill or whatever the case is. She's working real hard. She does her own home-based business. Plus, she works a job. So, she's really trying to take care of the kids. But she's looking at the competition. She's looking at the competition for the game. Jace comes home. He's like, man, I'm number 4, Mom. She's like, don't worry about that. I'm looking at this game on YouTube. So, of course, she's studying, the player that he has to play against. So she lets him know, hey, listen, this is how he does it. He kind of sneaks to kind of push you while you're shooting. And she really studies the game to really make sure that Jace has the upper hand when he plays this kid next week. So, of course, they're looking on. Jace is making jokes like, yeah, you tell me to get offline, but you're on YouTube. So, of course, she gives him an example with, his sister. And she really breaks it down. And his mom is really dedicated. That's what I love about his mom. She's really dedicated to helping him become the number 1 seed. So, they're laughing and joking. But at the same time, Jace is still really serious about this ranking. And he wants to be number one. Of course, his sister and his mom, they're going to be there and support him. So it's a great family structure, great family structure. So now we got Ike and his wife, and, they're just talking about the future, and they're talking about the team, and he's telling them how, they're going to combine teams and everything. And, he's really like trying to just be there and be supportive of the baby and him. So he's putting on, the maternal suit and everything. So it's all good. So now Jace goes out to throw out the garbage again. Now, if you remember from last episode, he got pulled over by the cops. So, of course, she hears sirens. His mother hears sirens, and she's looking out the window to make sure he's okay. But he's definitely okay. He's being a 14-year-old, and he takes the bag and he shoots it. And, of course, she's just happy that he's just being able to be a kid, in the DMV with all the cops being crazy out there. You know what I'm saying? So, she really wants to keep him safe because of everything that's going on. They're talking about COVID, they're talking about shootings and everything, but she's just happy that he is a good young man, and she's trying to keep him safe. So now we got Ike. He's in the back throwing out the garbage, right? The OG coach shows up. It was his old coach from back in the day, but he's kind of running all the coaches now in the DMV as far as the youth. So he rolls up on him. He's like, hey, thanks for looking out for me. Thanks for, asking the coaches to give me another chance. And the OG's like, yeah, no problem. You played for me back in the day, so we're square. Of course, Ike is like square. Ike still has a problem with the coach because he kind of dropped him back in the day. And he's like, yeah, of course we're square. We're family. So, of course, Ike is like, we're family, really? We're family. So the OG is like, hey, listen, man, let's not get into it. And Ike just pretty much kind of hands it to him and says, hey, listen, yeah, we're square, man, because you know what you do. You drop people when things go wrong. And the OG coach is like, hey, listen, man, when your father died, you kind of spiraled out of control. It's not really my fault, but, it is what it is. I'm the one that's going to help you get all these games. And the OG's like, listen, if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't even have this coaching job and all this and that. So Ike is just like, you know what? I'm good. Thanks a lot. We're squared up. We're good. We're straight. And the OG's like, listen, you're going to mess this up. Don't mess this up like you always do, like you've been doing before. Don't mess this kid up. Jace is a good player. Don't mess him up. Right? So with all that, Ike goes to the gym with Jace, and he's really pounding on Jace, putting the defense on him, and trying to get into his head and say, hey, listen, they're going to say that you suck. They're going to say this and that. It's all mental. You have to be strong. You have to be strong enough to embrace the negative and still make it happen regardless. So he's like, listen, you got to have a why. Why are you doing this? Why are you playing ball? And, he told him Jace wants to go to Florida, play in that championship game. He's like, why? He's like, well, it's personal. He's like, all right, well, you know what? We're going to have to work real hard. You're really going to have to work real hard to get your mental game up as well as your physical game. So he's really giving them a life lesson on really getting himself together mentally, right? So now we got Crystal and her coach, Warwick, and he's kind of, looking at her ankle. They practice and everything, but he's doing some real weird stuff, man. He's being real, like, schemish, kind of feeling on her leg and all this and that. Of course, she feels uncomfortable. You could tell. He's taking his hand and rolling up her leg. He's supposed to be looking at her ankle, but he's rolling up her calf, and she's getting real uncomfortable. And you could tell, and you can feel the intensity is what's going on, like he's about to do something he should not be doing. He says he told the college about, her, but we don't know yet, and you just got to keep playing. So thank God somebody came in and interrupted and say, hey, Coach Warwick, what's going on? Of course, he stops, going up her calf, and then she's like, listen, I got to go. And she runs out. He's like, where are we going? We got to ice that ankle down. She's like, no, I'm okay. I got to go. I got to go. Of course, we see what's going on. This dude is definitely not a good dude, right? So we see Jace's mom. She rolls up into the gym. She sees that the team is practicing. She sees Jace and the team. They're practicing, right? And then something happens where the guy pushes Jace down, and the guy's like, yo, man, you just suck and all this and that. So Ike is like, listen, I see how it is. You guys don't want to play as a team, but you're going to suffer as a team. Everybody on the line. Everybody on the line. Trying to break up the fight. And he's like, everybody on the line right now, you're about to do what's called suicides. That's when they run back and forth, from line to line, from the one end of the gym to the next. So Coach Ike has a unique way of doing this, and he plays some old school songs, right? He plays some songs to see if they know who it is. And if they know who it is, they don't have to run, right? So of course they're saying all the wrong answers. He's playing some real good music, but they don't know because they're really young, right? So of course the other coach, he's like, yeah, this is the artist, da 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 da. And of course they got to run back and forth. And it's real funny because, these kids don't know any one of these songs or any artist that's singing these songs. So, you see your boy over there, he's doing a little dance or whatever, and he's like, yeah, it's Will Smith. And the other guy's like, it's LL Cool J. He's like, they're both actors. It's kind of a funny moment because they are so young, they have no idea of who these icons are, right? So, Jace's mom sees this and she's like, yeah, that's a very unique way of coaching, right? So she's like, you know what? How about you play somebody from this age? So she's like, why don't you give me your phone, coach? I'm going to play something. I'm going to play a little something, right? So she went ahead and played Missy Elliott, right? And of course, Ike is like, okay, yeah, I like this. He's getting a little groove on or whatever, right? Right? But she's like, okay, who is it? Who is it? Who is this artist? And of course, they say the wrong answer. They say it's Cardi B. And it's like, no, it's not Cardi B. Come on, that's Missy Elliott, right? So, of course, he's like, you guys got it wrong. You got to run back and forth. You got to run back and forth. So it's a unique way of them bonding at the same time, getting a lesson on some really good old school music, right? Little fun way of coaching. So now the boys, they're outside, they're getting something to eat. They're going in about the types of food. Of course, Musa, he's a Muslim, so he's breaking down how you shouldn't be eating pork and everything else like that. But now they're going over, what should the name of their team be now that they have combined teams. So they say whatever, but Jace is like, we should call ourselves Swagger. So they're like, yeah, we like Swagger. We like that, right? Right, we like it. So they all agree upon it. They come together. They toast it up. Phil, he toasted up as well. So, they're finally all in agreement as to what the name is going to be because the coach said they can name themselves, right? So it's a good bonding moment. They're coming together as a team. Now you got Crystal, and Jace calls Crystal. And he's like, hey, I'm number one, da-da-da. And he says like a little curse words. He's like, be careful. My mama's here. Like, watch your language. He's like, oh, shoot, my bad, because he shows her the food. He's like, hi, Miss D. He's like, how you doing? He's like, all right, I'm out, right? So now Crystal is talking to her mom. And she's like, yeah, seems like Jace is doing his thing. He just came from practice. How was your practice? And she was like, yeah, it was okay. It was okay. And she said, yeah, the coach said that he spoke to a college, but he really doesn't know because of my injury. I just got to keep playing. And she said, yeah, it kind of felt kind of weird. It kind of felt kind of weird. And she's like, okay, I understand that. I had that same feeling before. And, they go into that, and she really wants to tell her what she felt, but she doesn't do it yet. So now Ike is at the job, and, the manager's like, listen, I got the hours for you. You can work on the weekends. You work on Tuesdays and all this and that. And he was like, okay, thank you. But, the coaching thing is picking up, and I might take it serious. And she gets mad, and she's like, listen, don't ever ask me for hours again. This and that. He's like, I'm sorry. And then she just walks away, right? Because she did all of that, took somebody else's hours, only to have to give it back, right? So now they got their shirts. They got the Swagger shirts. Ike shows up. They all show up to the gym, and they're ready to play this game, right? So Ike goes in there, and he's like, all right, everybody, here's the speech. Just show up. And they're like, man, you got to work on your speech. So, Jace is like, listen, everybody, we got to show up and show out and just make this happen as a team. Let's come together as a team. And 1, 2, 3 on me, Swagger, right? So they're ready to play this game. They're ready to get it in. They're saying that Jace online, he's a choker. He's going to choke in this game. Of course, a whole lot of negative coming his way. But just like Ike said, you got to control that. You got to embrace the negative and turn it into a positive, right? So, of course, Jace's mom is there. Crystal's there. She's asking how she's doing with her basketball career and everything. And you got the guy that ranks all the top players, and he's definitely going to rank based on tonight's play. Of course, you got Brett, which is Royale's father. He's there. And you got Meg. They are ready to play this game and get it going. As they're playing the game, they're playing really good. And OG coach goes over to Jace's mom. He's like, yeah, he's real good. He's real good. But he would be better if he wasn't with that washed up coach. So he's really hating on Ike right now because him and Ike just don't see eye to eye. and he did Ike wrong a long time ago. So now Jace got knocked down. He's not playing a good game, and they're losing right now. Swagger's losing by 10 points. So it's not looking good. Jace is sitting down like, man, I'm not playing a good game. Of course, Ike is trying to, just pat him on the back like it's going to be all right. And of course, the OG coach is like really enjoying that they're losing. So, he's really trying to get his mind together because there's a whole lot of negative going on. And again, you see things processing in his mind as to how he can get through this negative that's going on. So Ike is like, listen, I'm not coaching at my best. How about we play to win instead of playing not to lose, right? How about we play to win? So Ike comes up with a plan, right? A fast break plan. And he definitely is like, we're going to attack the rim. We're going to attack the rim. We're going to make it happen on defense and offense, right? So to get back in the game, Jace, he's doing his thing, right? Playing with the team, passing the ball, giving assists, right? Passing the ball, and they're winning. They're coming back. They're coming back. Not winning yet, but they're coming back. But Ike is getting hyped. They're playing good ball. Phil, he's playing good ball, making it happen, right? And of course, the OG coach, he's still hating, like, how is this even happening, right? So Jace comes through. He's doing his thing. They're catching up. They haven't won yet. They're catching up. Jace is shooting the shot, turning around, swish, going right in, right? So, yeah, they're playing a good game because they're playing to win now. They got their mind right, and they're saying Jace Carson is on fire right now. He's killing it right now, right? Scoring all these points, making assists, blocking shots. He's doing everything that he needs to do and dunking on the kid that absolutely was talking a whole lot of trash. Dunk right on him, right? And guess what happens? Of course, he does that. He roars, right? Made that dunk. Yes, Swagger won the game. They came back and won. Absolutely a proud moment. Of course, Crystal's rooting on her best friend, Jace, and the team, and everybody's happy. You know what I'm saying? They really fought for it. They came back and they made it happen. Of course, Mama's there. Definitely a proud moment, for Jace as well, right? So Jace is like, listen, coach, we did it, man. We did it. Like, we really came back. He's thanking him for, really helping him get his mind together to get the negative out. And they're talking online that Jace is going from a zero to a hero, right? And absolutely that he's definitely really nice at everything that he's doing. But they also said, yeah, he's going to end up like Icon, like Ike. And he's like, what? A handsome young man, handsome young man that has a wife and a kid on the way. And of course, they're bigging each other up. And Jason's like, that's right. Embrace the negative. Embrace the negative. So now we see Phil, and Phil got some bruises on his back, and he tries to sit down, and it's really hard for him to sit down, right? He gets a call from his mom in jail, and his mom is calling him just to see how he's doing. He's happy about the win, that they won the game, and that they combined teams, and now he's playing with Jace. And she's like, oh, Jace, you wasn't getting along with him before. He's like, yeah, but we cool now. We're cool now. He's like, I'm going to dedicate the next one to you. So now we see the ranking. The new ranking shows that Nick is number 1 and Jace is now number 2. He came up from number 4. Now he's number 2. Of course, he's not happy with that because, he wants to be number 1. And Chris was like, don't worry about that. You're going to be number 1 after you play Nick next week. So they're going to play each other next week. And Chris was, laughing with him. And, she's just saying how, Nick is looking good and all the ladies like him and all this and that. And of course, that's getting Jace upset. He's like, yo, I thought he was going to come out here and ball, So she's talking about how good he looks, and he doesn't like that. So, Jace is like, let's play some ball. Let's play some ball. So they go out there and they're playing each other and then they reminisce how they played each other back in the day, when they were younger. So it shows that they have a bond. They've been knowing each other since they were kids. And basketball is tying them together. Basketball keeps them together. That's their, getaway where they play each other, and it's all good. It's like their safe space. Of course, you see your boy, Jace Duncan on Crystal and the whole 9. And back in the day, she won the game. So the bet was for Skittles. So he gives the Skittles up to Crystal back in the day, right? So now they're playing the same way they have been. And now they stop for a break, get a water break. And Jace is kind of, pressing her like, yo, what's going on with your game and everything else like that? Like, is the coach going to get you in? And she's like, yeah, don't sweat it. Don't sweat it. He's like, nah, for real. You be playing real good. Like, you should be in the game, like, for real. And for whatever reason, She gets real upset about it. And she just gets mad. It's like, yo, stop sweating me. I'm telling you, just stop sweating me about it. And she, throws the Skittles at him. And he's like, yo, let's play this game, best of three. But obviously there's something going on and there's something wrong. And we have an idea of what that is. Right. So now we're back at Ike's house. He's reminiscing and going through, his old championship, net that he cut, when he was young. This is young Ike right here cutting the net, after they won the championship game. And then something happened. This is his dad right here. And they have an argument. Obviously, he wasn't listening to his dad. And they're going back and forth, arguing and everything. And he's just reminiscing of all of that. And then they show that next championship state game, they lost. They lost that championship state game. And that was probably after his, dad died. So he's reminiscing about his dad and everything that went down. Right. So now Jace is like, all right, I gotta practice now because I gotta go after the number one guy. I gotta go after this guy, Nick. And of course, Nick, he knows that he's playing, Jace next week. So they're both practicing, going at each other mentally in their mind, getting themselves ready, dunking, getting their moves ready. And yeah, they're going to get ready for this next game against each other. The number one against the number two. Who's going to win? Is it going to be Jace? Is it going to be Nick? We shall see in the next episode of Swagger on Apple TV. Again, this is the recap. And yeah, this was definitely a good episode. We're going to go deeper and deeper the further along we go. We're going to find out what's really going on with Crystal and that coach. And absolutely, we're going to see how these teams going to work out being combined. And hey, you never know what's going to happen. Definitely stay tuned to episode 3 as we see what's going on with Swagger. Hey, thanks for watching. Absolutely like, subscribe, share, comment below with any thoughts, any theories. And you know what it is. It's your man, VACAY-J. I'm out. Salute.